If a woman tells you no at any point, it puts you in an awkward situation. Depending on why she said no in the first place, it could be the equivalent to a plane getting shot out of the sky. But you might be surprised that when a girl says no, many times that can be turned into a yes. You might not have warmed her up sufficiently.
I'm afraid to get married, man. Why man wouldn't be afraid to get married at this point? You know, look at Kobe. Look at the shit he's going through right now. All right? Guy's getting a divorce. His wife's gonna get $70 million. Never hit a layup in her life.
That was certainly what I was hoping, was to avoid having to get on an airplane, but I eventually was able to get up the gumption with the help of some friends and get on the plane.
In fact, you fly fairly frequently for your hobbies and you've had to fly for your work. Is that true?
Correct.
I also saw on your CV that you list the following interests of surf travel, and you, in parentheses, put Hawaii, Costa Rica, South Pacific Islands, and French Polynesia. Have you been all to those places?
Correct.
By airplane?
Yeah.
All right, welcome to Last on Earth. My name is Rex Gerger, as always, with Franklin Matt Ralston. Matt needs to leave shortly to line up for tonight's premiere of A Star is Born. The movie has everything Matt loves: romance, power ballads, and of course, Bradley Cooper, topless with greasy hair. Matt will be sitting in row P at the theater. Might I suggest you ask for Q or further back? You're not going to see that movie, are you? Have you seen any of the incarnations of A Star is Born movie? There were two of them.
No, I didn't actually know until recently that it had been a movie. So there was the one with Cher.
No, there was the first one was with Judy Garland, like back in the 40s or 50s.
Oh.
And the second remake was with Barbra Streisand and Chris Christopherson in the 70s. And then the new one's Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. And apparently Lady Gaga will be up for an Oscar for her performance, which, by the way, I don't doubt she's a really talented actress.
We've already established that before the movie came out.
Yes. Well, I mean, it got a huge Rotten Tomato score. Apparently she's amazing in it. And it's well done. It's not like an epic movie, but it's very well done. She goes through the full range of emotions. She gets to cry. She gets to sing. She gets to do all that stuff. And apparently everyone says she's really great in it. So, you know, it's a...
Everyone says...
I mean, all the critics...
Can't we watch the movie and decide?
No, you already said you're not going to watch the movie, so you're going to have to rely on the critics.
I might watch it. I saw the trailer was on during... they've been running the trailer really aggressively.
Yes.
So I heard the song and I was like, oh, they got Springsteen to do the song? And then someone was like, no, that's Bradley Cooper.
Yes.
Because it sounded like it was the Springsteen, like, she'll let you in her heart.
He will be up for the Golden Globe. Don't forget, Golden Globes, by the way, separate the musical comedy categories out from drama. So he'll be up for a Golden Globe for that.
I can see this being good or real terrible. I don't think it's anywhere in between.
I think it's good. I think it's going to be a very good. I just don't think I have any reason to watch it. I don't know that I'm the right demographic for
What
this
is
film.
the premise? I understand that they're musicians.
It's about a girl.
That's really all I got.
It's a classic Hollywood tale of like a struggling woman to make it in the music business.
She sucks a guy's dick?
She's given up. No, it's not that classic.
Oh.
It's not the real story. It's a classic story. The classic Hollywood story. She's given up. She's discovered, of course, by a more talented veteran music guy who, of course, is plagued by his own demons and probably drugs and alcohol. And he helps her become a star, but and they fall in love. But in the meantime,
is he helping her? I don't understand.
Because she's talented and he wants to have sex with her.
Do they have sex?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, okay.
And but of course, as she's rising, he's falling because he's all messed up personally, and so he has all his demons. So, you know, it's a bittersweet love story.
I was wondering why the makeup department made him look so fucking greasy.
Yes,
for
very
no
greasy.
apparent reason.
Very greasy.
So I guess that explains
the drugs.
The greasiness is related to the drugs.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I think it's set in modern time, like modern day in 2018. I'm not positive. But apparently they said they did it. It's the third incarnation of this film, and that story's been done a million times as well. But they say it's well done. I just don't know that I, in particular, would be the demographic for any of it. Since I'm not a Lady Gaga fan, I don't find Bradley Cooper sexy. I don't like that kind of music.
Your wife will want.
I don't
You'll
like.
Go with your wife.
No, she doesn't like
lie.
that. She doesn't. She's not into that kind of stuff. I mean, Lady Gaga fans, of which there are 50 million or 100 million, will drive this box office. So it's going to do very well no matter what. But I just don't know that beyond being a younger woman who loves romance movies and Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, that there's no natural point of interest for me in this movie. Even if it's really good, I won't watch the screener either. I just can't watch movies like this. But you go, Matt.
Yeah. I haven't paid my dues. Just I might have to borrow some of your screeners. If
Sure.
That's right.
Also, by the way, I think that so I haven't dated in a long time, but I think you used to take girls to horror movies because it was a great way to hook up with girls. Because for some reason, girls love horror movies. You put your arms all over them. They put their arms on you.
Women love murder.
They love murder, scary movies. They love being frightened. And it's great. You always want to take. I was always told you want to take a girl to a horror movie on a date because that was the best chance of hooking up. But romance movies are the exact opposite because when women see romance movies, they measure you against the male character in the romance movie, and they look at you and go like, "Why aren't
totally
you?"
unrealistic.
Yes.
You'll see like Jerry Maguire, which I watched the other day. Great movie, but yeah, you're not as good looking. You're not as sensitive.
No.
You're not as smart.
No.
You're not as accomplished.
No, there's nothing to be gained by.
Well, you're not well dressed. You
No.
don't wear a tie on.
You don't look like
Tuesday.
Bradley Cooper. You don't play guitar and just break into song. You don't.
Well, this might be the exception. I feel like in this movie, me and Bradley Cooper maybe.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Well, I don't have a dry goatee.
No.
You're looking at me. Do you see a dry goatee?
No. You got to be oily. You got to be really oily for the film. This week's Last Man on Earth podcast is sponsored by the text from President Trump about to hit our phones. Matt, that's happening anytime soon now. In real time, we're going to get a text from Trump. At first, I was concerned this was an opportunity for executive branch political messaging, but then I thought, I hope he sent some Melania nudes. The presidential.
I don't even know. I honestly have no idea what you're talking about.
The presidential alert system. I'm praying for titties. So in about an hour from now, in real time, Matt, the president of the United States is sending a text to the entire country. They're testing.
How did he get my number?
They didn't get your specific number. He didn't ask you, give me Ralston's number. So they set up this new, FEMA set up a new nationwide text alert system.
Oh God, they're going to start sending propaganda.
And what I'm thinking is late at night, he might just send Melania nudes by accident. And we'll get some titty pics.
We've already seen her nudes.
That's a good point. What's left to see? No, so they're going to, I think in about 30 minutes from now, your phone's going to beep with the text message from the president. This is exciting. I'm kind of excited.
Can I block it?
No, you can't, and you can't block it.
What can I respond? Fuck you.
You probably cannot do that either.
If you text me again, I'll kill you.
No, you can't do that either. It goes through your phone operator, so that your telecommunications company. You can't stop it. Can you stop your phone company messages to yourself? They send you, don't they send you shit?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you can stop that.
Like your AT&T message, you can't stop that.
I was driving in Vegas, or through that area, on the way to Vegas. And I got one that said flash floods, that nasty, that emergency.
The beeps, yeah.
Beeping,
it makes a sound on your phone you can't make yourself.
It freaked me out, so I went to Del Taco through the drive-thru.
Yeah, naturally, doing it in time of natural disaster.
And where is that?
In
I
Henderson.
don't know, somewhere, some fucking shithole. And I just asked the lady, what am I supposed to do?
Yes,
because it says flooding. Yes. And I'm like, do I need to drive higher?
Yeah.
And they're like, do you want to order something?
Yeah, they don't. Nobody knows what to do with those. I get do you get the Amber Alerts?
Yeah.
Some uncle steals the baby and they tell you there's a blue Dodge whatever and with license plate so and so.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do I do now? It's first of all, it's 180 miles away. Should I get on top of my roof with binoculars and search for this person?
Yeah, I look at the car in front of me. And by the way, what are the odds he's on the 405?
Yes.
0? Wouldn't you take Sepulveda if you just...
I don't really understand. The police have the license plate in this person. So, what am I going to find him? And then what do I do? Do I do a citizen's arrest, pull him over, bump him off the road with my car? Say, give me back your daughter. And your custody fight's not going well. I'm sorry, but give me back your daughter. Give me back your daughter.
Yeah, it's utterly ridiculous. And when you try and catch a plate, by the way, it's in theory, everyone's like, did you get the plate?
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
nobody gets it.
Because it's really fucking difficult.
Yes, cops in the movies always get the plates. And I think maybe they're trained in that, but I can never remember the first number. I never remember the first number.
You can barely see it.
And they've actually seen studies where they test people on that, and everyone gets the number wrong. Do not forget to become a patron of the show on patreon.com/Last Man on Earth. Thanks to all our new patrons. Get on the ship before it disappears now. Maybe Trump will sign up with his alert system. How much would you think it would cost for a promo, like a nationwide promo? Like, just testing the FEMA system, by the way. Go check out patreon.com/lastmanearth for a great show today. I mean, he's going to do something. Or he's going to promote himself some way, right? He's going to do something like Trump Casino hotels like discount.
I'm sure if you're a foreign dictator, you get a serious discount. Kim Jong-un can probably hawk a fucking, Panda Express commercial.
We have about 40 minutes to go on that, Matt, when it pops up. If we wish to contact the show, hit us up on Twitter at Last Man Podcast or on Facebook, also Last Man Podcast. All right, on to the show. Matt, I know that you agree with me that no minority group in this country has suffered more than privileged white women, like college-educated white women are really the most suffering minority group in this country, while simultaneously being women who are actually a majority of the population. So there's not, in my mind, there's not enough reparations we can give to women for their historical suffering. Well, at least not as much as they're asking for. So California, leading the charge in all these idiotic laws, has now enacted a law that says if you have a company in California, your board has to have women on. You have to place women on your board. Otherwise,
publicly traded companies.
Yeah, public companies who have boards. You have to have females on the board, or they will fine you, which sounds entirely unconstitutional.
It sounds fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
There's, so I don't know what goes into making. All right, I don't want to sound like an idiot, but to get incorporated, that you have to have a fairly substantial business. But there are 4,000 of them nationally.
Incorporated publicly traded companies, you mean?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, I mean, there's big companies. There's not very many small companies. They trade on different boards, but like all the Silicon Valley companies, all the big tech companies, all this and that. I mean, it's going to affect a lot of companies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad for General Motors because it's like, who gives a shit? No one's doing anything anyway. But if you're like just a smaller company,
like a small software company,
yeah, like now you have to hire. Is it 2 women to be
the board
on
based
the board,
on
and then
out of 5 or 40% or some shit like that?
At least that. So like, I don't know. Like, I think I know how this will work.
There's gonna be like Lisa Leslie, someone from the WNBA, some famous like female celebrity like Halle Berry will be on every board.
Yeah, some woman will get hired who's like been gunning for this, and so you'll be having a meeting like, well, I think we should scale this way, and then the woman that you had to hire will say something, and then everyone's gonna be like, oh, man, we can't say what we want to say, which is, why don't you shut the fuck up? You only had to be hired because out of obligation, and you don't know anything about what we're talking about, and you don't deserve to be here. But then she'd probably sue you for like harassment or something. So you just have to like, essentially everyone's going to roll their eyes while this fucking retard just spits out their stupid, unfounded opinion.
Well, it's possible they might actually get competent women. But I think the concept is...
I'm not saying that the woman isn't necessarily competent, but anytime someone is mandated to be hired, by nature, they don't belong in the room.
Well, the first assumption is that women aren't being put on boards because there's always this conspiracy that, like, I don't know where the men meet, like where the male conspiracy meets. Is it like the community center? Is it like in male locker rooms? Like where men are meeting to conspire, like, dudes, let's not hire any chicks. No chicks, okay? We're not going to hire any chicks.
Well, what if it's fucking John Deere? I mean, wouldn't it make sense that out of 5 people on the board, 5 of them were men just because, they're the sons of farmers or whatever?
Well, they're probably not sons of farmers, but they're
they're
probably like Harvard MBAs or whatever. But, I mean, here's the thing. I don't think first of all, you have to provide evidence that people are excluding women from boards. Like there's a female... who's qualified for the board, they're going like, no chicks, no skirts. We don't want any skirts in the boardroom.
Are there any boards that are all female? 5 out of 5 are female?
There are some.
So do we have to put a dude on there?
No, you don't have to do that.
His stupid ass.
There's more female. There's more, obviously more male CEOs and more male board members, and it's heavily skewed towards males. But that's because men have been in the workplace for thousands of years, and women entered in earnest, let's say 30 to 40 years ago. And so if you look at the number of people going through professional schools, people training in business, it was always men, 95% men. And now it's switching heavily towards women. So there's more women in law school, more women in medical school, women going through business schools. So in another 20 or 30 years, there'll probably be half and half, or even maybe more women. Who knows? But to like suggest that this is writing some conspiracy, like the men are trying to stop qualified women from getting access to boardrooms because why? I mean, I never understood that, because why? Like, why would have you ever been in a room where men said like, let's make sure the chicks don't get any opportunities, or let's make sure women don't get hired, or let's keep this all guys? Have you ever been in an experience like that before?
No, but I also don't hang out in boardrooms.
No, but even just for anything,
I would
for any
assume it
gigs.
doesn't
In
work
comedy,
that way.
have you ever heard in comedy, like, let's not give that chick an opportunity. Let's make sure it's only guys on the lineup tonight. Like, I mean,
no, I mean, I've played pickup basketball, and if a woman wants to join, even though everyone knows that she's not very good, she's more than welcome to play.
Yeah, she covers you.
People
right
actually go out of their way,
and you elbow her to the eye socket, and we'll go around her, then dunk, and like fucking make a muscle move. I just don't know that.
I did swat the shit out of a chick in the what do you call it? The when they let you go to the training camp for the Clippers.
Oh, like the let the older people go play in the farm camp.
Yeah, I went to be nice for my friend, and I just sort of out of instinct, I blocked this like 12-year-old girl.
You went Karl Malone on some good little girl.
Chauncey Billups yelled at me. Yeah, I did.
Well, you were very, very gender equal. But I mean, yes, I think guys, like people are more culturally inclined to select people that remind them of themselves when it's time for an opportunity. That's just part of human nature. Like, you're gonna like people who are like you, just naturally. So if you have 10 people to choose from for some opportunity, the guy who is just like you and laughs at the same things and kind of sounds like you and has the same background is subconsciously going to appeal to you more than people who are from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
But there's no evidence of a mass conspiracy here. Whereas, by the way, there is great evidence of mass conspiracies against many minority groups in this country historically, and even currently.
Which happened, I guess, so, women didn't have the right to vote, and there has been some discrimination. But, so you have Native Americans.
Yes.
Genocide. We went ahead and cool with that. Then relocated them, burned all their
gave
villages and shit.
Gave them plots of the desert, empty
stuck them in Oklahoma where the fucking sun beats down on you. Black people, slavery, that was a thing.
And continuing institutional racism.
Yes, and mass incarceration.
Yes.
And
40% unemployment rates among under 30 black men under 30, little things like that.
Yeah, I mean, up until dude, my buddy, I should say my friend's friend is an older guy. He's probably 60 years old. He lives in Palm Springs. He showed me his lease, and his lease says you can have 12 chickens, no more. And no Mexicans are allowed.
Yes,
and that wasn't that long ago.
And they probably waived the chicken rule if you asked.
Yeah, I don't think any white people were complaining about chickens so much.
No.
And no one's bringing any of this up, and obviously it's not like who had it worse, but
I think
one group had it, more than one group had it a lot worse, and we're not even talking about reparations for them. And this is like the most egregious form of affirmative action.
Yes.
And I'm in a minority in that I actually agree with affirmative action because I think there's discrimination.
I think most people agree with the principle of it. They debate over the actual, when it comes time to execute on it, how fair it is.
Yeah,
like this, like mandating quotas. A lot of people don't like quotas because they're like, well, yes, it does solve a historical discrimination, but at the same time, then it just hurts innocent people for no reason. Like, you're telling like current white people, like, because your great grandparents owned slaves, that you can't have the slot. So I think there's an honest debate to be had about who, when you give a spot to somebody else and take it away from somebody else because of some immutable quality that they weren't responsible for at all. I can see that people being upset about that.
Yeah.
But the gender thing is like, it doesn't. So a lot of people don't know this, but so when affirmative action came about in the early '60s, it was a part of the civil rights movement. And it was intended for it was driven mostly by black urban politicians and leaders and MLK and everybody for black populations. But there was also some Hispanic population at the time. But it was largely blacks, unrest in the cities. And they said, yeah, this is like, part of the great decade of the 60s is we're going to right these wrongs and start affirmative action programs for work and for colleges for minority Americans. And it wasn't until about 4 years later that white women, started protesting and saying, all these feminists, Helen Gurley Brown, all these 60s radical feminists, white feminists got together and said, well, we're also a minority group and we should be part of the affirmative action program. And after Kennedy was gone and Johnson was in the office, they got weaseled into him, and got themselves added to the affirmative action legislation 4 years after the fact. It was never supposed to include white women. And since that time in 1967, every single study has shown that white women far and away have been advantaged by affirmative action programs more than actual minority groups. Like so when companies were forced to do hiring for minorities, they just hired white women. And when schools were forced to integrate and be more diverse, they just brought in more white women. So that was like their answer to diversity. And still in Hollywood, and we're in Hollywood, you see in other places, when they say like we're trying to be more diverse and integrated, mostly what you see are white women being hired and promoted, and that's sort of their answer. You never see, like I said, Asians or Hispanic or black, very rarely, which is why this legislation seems very, oddly issued, that like women have to be on the boards, versus if you're going to force the issue, why not the actual oppressed minorities? Because who's going to be on these boards? Women with pedigrees, with strong pedigrees of business and college and education and backgrounds. So it's going to be mostly white women again.
Also just opportunistic, like sort of weird business-minded women that are, gunning for this kind of thing. I don't think it's on the radar of a normal is it I'm assuming it's all going to be in-house.
Yeah,
but like they're not promoting the fucking Mexican cleaning lady.
No. That's what I'm saying. This is at the top of the socioeconomic chain. So these are going to be like women who are already doing well, who will now be placed on boards. And again, there's no reason why you wouldn't have a female board member. And I don't think in fact, I assume everyone's trying to have female board members in this day and age.
Yeah, I wonder how many companies this will actually affect, because I would assume the majority have a woman already.
I don't know that the majority have, but they're certainly looking.
A lot.
Nobody wants to have the picture of the board members all be white males anymore. It's just very bad. It's very poor optics. Nobody wants that anymore. Even if like for some reason they had some cabal where they all were like white supremacists, they would still hire minorities. Like so in the 80s. The investment banks, which were 99.9% white males, would have some of the summer intern programs of the Wall Street banks, and they'd always make a big point about bringing all the minorities in for the summer program, and that's when they would do their annual photos. So all their PR photos and all their stuff would be like, it would look like, wow, my God, like Smith Barney is like 80% minorities. There's like black people and Asian people and Hispanic people and women. And like it looked like the DMV, kind of in their office.
Right.
And then summer was over, they'd all go away. They never got hired for full-time jobs.
I think we need because I think the only feminist that we really celebrate officially is Susan B. Anthony.
Yes. Who happened to be a lesbian.
As we should.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was a lesbian, but she was a good person and fought for something. But we should also call out the fact that these women instituted prohibition.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
And I don't want to sound like Kavanaugh, but I like beer.
Or Kavanaugh.
Or what's the name? Fucking Kavanaugh.
Don't you know people named Kavanaugh? It's a very common Irish name.
No,
really?
I've never heard that name in my life.
Really? I know a ton of Kavanaughs.
I only know one guy, or I know two guys named Brett.
Yeah. I don't like guys named Brett.
But I just feel like that should be mentioned. Like, these people were somewhat fascist from the beginning.
Well, I mean, it seems like if you're going to say, like, if you're going to have affirmative action and you're going to be extremely egregious about it and say, like, here, you have to put these people in these high up positions, it seems to me you'd open it up to actually, I'm not a big fan of cash reparations. I think it's just going to open up a huge can of worms. of who gets it, where it comes from, what's being done with it. That doesn't make sense. But to do it, to actually provide opportunities for minorities makes sense.
I'd be in favor of reparations.
You would be cash reparations?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
why not? What are we going to fucking invade another country?
No, well, that's a waste of money. But I always think giving cash to people is a really bad idea, because some people will use it for good and some people will not use it for good. Versus, say, opportunities in college or education, or just fixing public schools in bad areas, or creating other opportunities, which are going to set you up for life. I always think of the lottery winners always dead broke like a year later. I don't know. It just seems to me if you're going to push a very, very egregious example of affirmative action in your face, you might actually pick some groups that hadn't really been oppressed and can't get board seats, versus like a Harvard a female Harvard grad.
It's totally insane. It's just like, I think we can all agree, even if you think there's this patriarchy and that women are the most beaten down group on the planet.
Yes,
which isn't true, but
no.
And I'm sure there is, there are some problems. Obviously, you cannot argue with a straight face that they've had it worse than Native Americans or black people.
No, so there was a story the last week, 2 weeks ago.
No laws mandating that one of them be on a board.
Female McDonald's workers were like organizing to fight sexual harassment and sexual assault in the workplace. I'm like, yeah, that's where it sucks for women.
Yeah.
Being a migrant in fast food, you probably get your tits grabbed every single day and your ass spanked and all sorts of shit going on. Who knows what's going on, because you have no rights whatsoever.
Right. Those
are the people who need help, not the who was a woman who ran for president? Carly, I love her.
Fiorina.
She reminds me of every like aggressive businesswoman ever. Like, just would be like horrible. If I saw that, I'd be like, can we hire a dude? We got to hire a dude. We can't have that chick around her. She's going to ruin everything.
I totally forgot about her.
She's going to ruin. She just seems like the person who ruins every bit of fun ever. Like, even if you have like a dud dude like in your group, he's still not going to like make you stop having fun. She seems like the person.
No, she was a terrible shrew, but everyone's like, oh, well, when a guy is aggressive, he's just a guy. And when a woman is, it's like, no,
it's not.
That's not true. When a guy is aggressive, he's an annoying asshole.
Yes.
And when a woman acts like that, she's equally fucking annoying. Like, what are you talking about? You can't just say shit that's...
There's a weird dichotomy where women are trying to like be aggressive, ambitious and aggressive, but still also like really concerned with fashion and style and makeup and things like that. I think that does provide a sort of weird view for men, like when women are still trying to doll themselves up and yet still screaming at you. It's kind of like that's something men that like. So if you don't like, it's still an odd thing, right? Like you still have like her trying to like dress for not to be sexy, but to look good and put makeup on and do her hair, and then she's fucking yelling at you, trying to get shit done at work. I find that to be odd. Like I'd rather just have a plain. I wouldn't care if it was a man or a woman, but when one person's spending 2 hours getting ready, and the other person's just slapping on clothes in a minute and a half and maybe shaving, it's just there is that weird sort of like
I think that's why when I see a woman in like a business suit,
yes,
I can't think of anything less attractive. Like even if she's a beautiful woman,
yeah,
I just look at her butt.
Yeah,
in that stupid suit, and like it just seems like the worst of all dudes.
Yes,
Honestly,
I think that worked well. Among other things, that worked against Hillary Clinton, which is just that the way she just appeared was like the way every guy like just cringes.
Well, in her defense, what was she supposed to do?
Yes, there was no way to make herself look good, but I think being a little more casual would have served her a little well. She looked like she was going to like always traveling somewhere important, even when she...
I would have gone with just Harlem Globetrotters, just warm up.
Yes.
Just the red, white, and blue tracksuit.
I would have gone with oversized sweatshirt and leggings. All right, Matt, let me ask you about Lindsay Lohan, these videos you've finally seen. Tiana, we got an email from Tiana. That sounds like a fake name. Is there anything more awesome than Lindsay Lohan trying to steal Arab kids on the streets of Moscow and getting punched in the face? So in a weird Instagram live stream video, Lindsay Lohan has made like a weird comeback in a way I've never seen before from an out-of-work actress. I give her credit in the sense she hasn't gone like Rose McGowan.
I don't even think of her as an actress anymore. It's funny you say that.
No, I just think of her. She's a butt of jokes. She's been the butt of jokes for a long time. But her new guise now for the last year or two is that she's rescuing she's helping to save Syrian refugee families. I don't know how she fell into this. She had a boyfriend, of course, who was from Turkey, so she was in Turkey.
She like lives in Greece or
She
something?
lives in Greece. She had this. She got like another $1 million. Like people every now and then.
with her one.
Did you really? She's
I'm not proud of it.
She goes through this thing like where every couple of years she's broke, mostly from drug use and from not working, which will happen. And then someone comes along like from the third world and gives her $1 million to do something.
But aren't those trash ass skanks, like reality show type chicks like that, like prized over there in the Eastern European?
She's not getting Paris Hilton dollars overseas. Paris Hilton will get like $250,000 to do like like a Qatar nightclub one night opening.
Right.
Lindsay Lohan will get like $5,000, but she sold her name in Greece. Apparently, she's letting the Greek nightclub owner use her name, Lindsay Lohan, to open up nightclubs in Greece.
She's like the Wolfgang Puck of
yes. She's the one oak. She's the one oak of like low end Greek discos. But she got like $1 million for that, for like they can use her name like forever, like in any operation they want to in Greece, which is I kind of sad, kind of genius, I guess, for her, because what does she care? I guess it's kind of weird that people open up shops and stuff with your name on it, like overseas. But she needs the cash, obviously. But anyhow, she got in with like. Somehow she got into like the Arab culture was her thing, and so she started carrying a Quran around, and she was wearing like the headdress, the hijab, and going to like refugee camps for photo ops.
Was the Quran written in would it be Arabic or English?
I don't think
was
it was a real
translated.
Quran. I think it was just like a People magazine with a Quran cover. It's an odd thing. I mean, I think we can all agree she's not educated. She doesn't seem intelligent in any way. No. And she's never struck anybody as humanitarian, but she's trying to trying to create an image at least, or maybe she's earnest. Who knows? It's really hard with dumb women, dumb people in general, to understand their motivations.
Well, yeah. I mean, what if, hypothetically, she is just very down with the cause of displaced Syrian.
She might be.
Refugees.
She very with someone like Emma Watson, who's the UN World Ambassador for Women, or even Angelina Jolie, who's also UN Ambassador for some shit, and they go do photo ops in Africa. You feel they have like a decent heart, but mostly this is a PR. This is part of their persona, their public persona. With Lindsay Lohan, you feel like, and those are smarter women. With Lindsay Lohan, you feel like she just may be one of those AA people who's like actually trying to make amends, and she doesn't really know what to do, and so she's helping Syrian refugees. Like I said, I'm not doubting that she's earnest about this, because it's so hard with dumb people to understand what their motivations are. Because sometimes dumb people are just earnest. They're just super earnest. And they're doing things that are beyond weird, but they're just, in their head, they really are, somewhat noble about what they're doing.
But and I kind of think her head might be in the right place, but you showed me these videos this morning while I was trying to sleep.
She tracked, of course. She tracked Syrian, now she's tracked Syrian refugees to Europe. To see how the kids of these refugees are being used in child trafficking. And by the way, when they say child trafficking, I never quite understand what they mean. I understand the sex part, like if they would, like in Thailand or somewhere else, if they're stealing kids for like, weird, illegal, illicit sex toys for like foreign travelers. I mean, I at least understand the business aspect of that.
Right.
But when they're not doing that, is it like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Crusade and the Temple of Doom, where they're stealing kids to work in the mines,
Well, you got someone like me that, I mean, you have like 9 children. I have not. Maybe I'd want to rent a kid just for a day, just to hang out,
like
go to Chuck E. Cheese and shit.
I understand selling kids for rape. Let's put it that way. I understand the economy behind that.
That's not why I would want to.
No, but like. Why? Like, what would someone do with if it wasn't some sexual, horrible sexual thing? What would someone want a 9-year-old child for?
I don't know. That's actually a good question.
I mean, to work the farm.
I mean, maybe until they grow up and they're old enough to be raped.
I don't know. Like slave. If you want slave labor, you wouldn't want a kid because they're just not going to work very hard. I don't understand the child trafficking thing outside of the kids being sold for sex, and that can't be a huge number, but I know it goes on. So she tracked the family. She tracked this family with 2 kids onto the streets of Moscow, and you saw the video where she's trying to.
So I saw the video, but I guess I need to clarify.
Guys, you're going the wrong way. My car's here. They're trafficking children. Shut up. I won't leave until I take you. Now I know who you are. Don't fuck with me. Hey, kids. This is the Arab. This is not Arab. You're ruining Arab culture by doing this. I'm like in shock right now. And they were trying to run to me, and I'm just like so scared.
These were the kids' biological parents?
Seemingly so. There's no way to know for sure. They were the caretakers of the kids, at least.
So she was...
It was a mother and father.
It was a mother and father. We have no reason to think it wasn't the kids' parents.
Yeah, no reason to think the kids were kidnapped. They knew the parents. The kids knew the parents.
So she was
the adults
essentially harassing the parents.
I think she was
talking in a bizarre dialect because she can't speak the language, as if that would help.
Yes.
You know, like if you don't speak English and someone says to you like, "Hey man, well, you know, I think this will help." Like, what are you talking about? That is not going to do anything. Like, she was just talking in this pseudo theatrical Persian accent.
Like where the whole image of the ugly American, where they go to a foreign country, assume everyone speaks English, and when they don't speak any English, they just speak slower and louder. Like that's going to help.
Right.
Like someone in Myanmar, like who doesn't speak English. If you speak slowly enough, they're going to know what like the words you're saying are.
So she was, yeah, exactly. So she was accosting this, for all I know, healthy family unit.
Yeah. Well, they were on the street. They were on the street.
Well, no, but I mean, I'm not saying they don't love each other.
Yeah.
Like, they obviously are, you know, not
down in their
ideal circumstances.
Yes.
I think they were sitting at a poker table for some reason or some shit.
I assume they're always selling incense.
And
meatless sausage.
And so you'll never hear me say this. As much as we like to kid, I never would really criticize someone's appearance. You've
talking about the lady?
The lady,
the mother,
looked like Bernie Kosar.
Yes.
I mean, really a strong jaw on her. And so Lindsay Lohan kept, from what I gleaned, she kept bothering them, and then the giant, you know, the Ivan Drago of the Persian world punched her in the face.
No, well, the woman did. So she was asking. There were kids there. And I think the underlying thing that wasn't mentioned was she thought the kids were being sold, being trafficked. And again, I don't know what that means.
Well, it's very presumptuous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, someone told her probably the Syrian refugees are going to Moscow and other European capitals, and the kids are being exploited. The kids are being sold, or I don't know. Again, for what? Other than sex, I don't know for what. But she assumed the boys, they were two young boys. She assumed the boys were in trouble for some reason. And so she offered to give them a hotel room. The children in a hotel room for the night. Not the whole family, mind you.
She kept saying, she was essentially trying to kidnap the kids.
Yes.
Which is the whole premise that she supposedly...
yes, as if you could be more creepy. I know it's a woman, but still she's saying, I'll take your kids for the night and bring them to a hotel room.
She kept saying, do you want to stay in the hotel?
Yes.
And they're like, you're creeping us the fuck out.
Yes.
Like, please leave.
And how about we all get a hotel room? We'd be down for that, but why are you taking our kids away to a hotel? She goes, upstairs here. I'll take you to the hotel upstairs. Like, just your children, not you. You can't come with us. Like, I'll take your 9-year-old upstairs to a hotel room, even from a woman. And she kept saying, I'm American. Like, again, that's like her passport.
Yeah, because that'll go over well.
Yes. The Syrians love Americans.
Yeah.
Oh, American. Yeah, take the kids.
No, the reason we're out on the fucking street in the first place. Thank you.
And then when they started leaving, they started realized they were being filmed. They started They started moving. And then she followed them down the street yelling something about fuck Pakistan and like, I don't know what. They didn't seem to be from Pakistan, but she was just yelling shit in Arabic. Then she threw like a couple Russian words in there as if she was like a multilingual, like a skilled multilinguist.
Wait, so because again, I was attempting to sleep, but the giant jawed woman punched her, right?
Yeah. So she was following them. She kept following them down the street, saying, "Give me your children."
I'm not blaming the woman.
And the woman turned around, and socked her in the face. Which is great because people don't punch each other enough anymore, and especially women. Not in like an irrational like girl fight thing on World Star Hip Hop, but I mean actually like a real reason to protect your kids and punch somebody. No one does that anymore.
No, it's pretty hard to get punched.
Yes.
You have to really earn it.
Yes,
and
although
and she certainly did.
You wouldn't expect it from the woman necessarily to punch you, and I think as a woman,
Well, that was
I don't think women.
a very strong woman.
I was thinking about this. I don't think women, even when they harass people, expect to get punched. Like as a guy, you know, if you're like in a bar or any location, you're harassing somebody, you're kind of thinking, is this person going to punch me? But as a woman, I'm guessing reflexively, you don't think I'm about to be punched. Like someone's going to take a swing at me. That doesn't cross your mind.
That's women behave as though that's not a possibility.
Yes.
They do things that if you or I did, we would be punched immediately.
And I'm assuming if you're in a Syrian refugee camp, a Syrian refugee, you're probably carrying some kind of weapon on you to protect yourself, like a knife of some kind, because you'd have to really to get by. So I don't.
Were they in a I don't understand. Were they in a?
They were in camp.
They were in a camp.
The refugees are in camp. The Syrian refugees are in camps, and they're being relocated or illicitly relocating themselves by paying off transporters to take themselves to various European capitals, where at least they have some opportunity. I give her earnest points because I think in her head what she thinks is she's saving children, and maybe those kids actually were being exploited. But I don't understand, celebrities are really bad at everything.
But we have no reason to believe that. For all they know,
someone
she's trying to kidnap the kid.
I think someone told her that. It's not like she's traveling, gets off at Moscow airport, starts walking around going, are your kids being sold? I mean, I'm sure she has someone with her who's pointing, there's her families that are selling kids.
Someone must have scouted the area.
Yes, someone scouted the area. But it wasn't like a TV show or anything where they might have a film crew or security.
Was she filming it herself?
She was filming herself with her phone. So it wasn't like even Russian police were with her. She could have been easily been killed, which would have been amazing.
Yeah, she should have been killed.
She should have been shanked, at least been shanked in the side. But I don't think I think celebrities, as much as they always do stupid shit, where they try to get involved in humanitarian crises or they go to dangerous places, they're always really far away from the real danger. They'll go to Iraq during the war, but they're really kind of far away from the real actual danger.
Yeah.
Because they're fucking not that dumb, right? They just don't want.
Well, Sean Penn.
Yes, he's different.
He really got into the thick of it.
He was actually shoveling shit in Haiti.
Yeah, and he was in New Orleans during Katrina.
Yeah, he actually literally has his hand in shit, cleaning out human feces. He's one of the strange dudes. But for Lindsay Lohan, she crossed that line where she could have actually been just murdered, and it was just kind of shocking to see. Because she's completely untrained, she's completely unqualified, and she's immersing herself in she's one of those people rich people goes into poor communities, dangerous communities, and confronts drug dealers or something, and you're just surprised. The only reason they don't get killed is because they have a camera crew with them, and, and people aren't dumb enough to be to kill her on camera. But these are random Syrian refugees easily could have just fucking taken her out, put her in a trunk somewhere, and never heard from her again.
Yeah, her other big mistake, and this is some of the best advice I've read. Her mistake, she will be killed if she continues doing this.
Oh yes, for sure she will. And I don't think she'll be remembered, venerated as the great humanitarian she believes she will be. It'll be the butt of jokes.
It'll be fucking hilarious.
Yes.
But when you go in, when you don't belong, right? The biggest mistake you can make is pretending that you do.
Yes.
So doing that stupid accent, and
yes.
I'm sure she was wearing some sort of hijab or whatever she was doing. No, just you signify that you're different, and at least that makes people respect you.
Yeah.
You don't pretend that you're one of them.
No, you let yourself be seen as a jerk from the outside, and that gives you some level of protection of that's some American celebrity jerk, right? So we can kind of laugh at them.
Yeah.
But when they're actually getting into your shit and trying to take your kids away from you, that's when you're gonna get killed. I mean, I wouldn't have it's not that I would have not blamed the parents for doing that, but one of the people easily could have pulled out a knife and just stabbed her, right? Because these are fucking Syrian refugees who may or may not be selling their children for sexual exploitation. They're not. These are somewhat serious, downtrodden people. These are not this is not hanging around Hollywood.
These are hardened individuals.
Yeah, just imagine getting first of all, getting into the Syrian refugee camp. Your village has been bombed out. You've lost everything, and now what it takes to get to Moscow from there, it's probably fucking hell.
Yeah. You've had to go trek across. Where do they cross it?
Walking.
Greece,
And they
I
walk.
suppose. And
or take boats and like fucking sewage-filled boats. I mean,
you've had a fucking terrible time of it, and I have no reason to think that these people are guilty of selling their kid. Like, if there's no proof, then we can't just assume that they're selling their kid for sex. Maybe they were just hanging out with their kid.
Yes.
And so
she was a Christine. She was a Christine Blasey Ford of child exploitation accusations.
You're stressed out. I wouldn't blame them for killing her.
No, I wouldn't have either. The most amazing thing I was thinking was if the kid had killed her. Like the kid had been like, no, women try to take me away, take me to a hotel room and stabbed her. Like, help me. It was amazing though. You're right. If she continues this, she's going to be, there's like sort of bonus points for actually getting in the fucking muck. Like you said, Sean Penn. But even, Sean Penn meeting with El Chapo, like Sean Penn should have died when he met El Chapo, specifically because he gave away El Chapo's location to the federales.
Well, Sean Penn was meeting with El Chapo because he thought El Chapo would fund a movie about El Chapo where he played El Chapo.
But anytime you meet with a mass murderer, there's a good chance you could be killed. You could be killed. I mean, El Chapo's not like, it's not like meeting with the head of a company. You're confronting the head of a company in the United States. When you're driving into the jungle with the blindfold on to meet the head of a drug cartel, you could die.
Yeah,
you could easily be killed. They don't value your life like you think they might, and they're not scared of the police.
That's true.
So, and by the way, did give away their position. Matt, let me ask you about anal rape. This is a topic you may be familiar with. I know you're not familiar with soccer. Do you follow soccer at all?
No.
Football? The beautiful sport, or whatever the fuck they call it?
I don't follow American or European football.
But you've heard of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes.
The highest paid soccer player in the world. He makes his salary is $30 million a year, which is on par with with LeBron or Steph Curry or any other top NBA star.
Yeah, he's one of the most famous athletes in the world. He's a metrosexual, isn't he? Are you outing him as a metrosexual? You mean bisexual or pansexual? Just metrosexual? He's a very handsome fellow who constantly never has a shirt on ever. Who is better, him or Messi?
Ronaldo gets paid. Ronaldo's more of a star only because of his looks, I think, and the way he sells himself. And obviously he's in every single ad in Europe and Latin America. So Messi is also a big star. But Ronaldo, there's no star in the world of soccer that like Ronaldo. He's the LeBron James of soccer.
But if you were like a soccer nerd,
I couldn't answer. I'm not if you can.
All right,
they're both great players. Messi probably gets 25 million. But Ronaldo is the LeBron of soccer.
Okay.
He worldwide is the most famous soccer player in the world. He gets paid more than anybody else. He beds more. He fucks more models. He's in every single gossip magazine.
LeBron doesn't fuck any models.
No, he doesn't. He's kind of sad. He's kind of sad. Well, who's the NBA comparison then? NBA guys aren't as fun as they used to be. Magic back in his day.
Kobe.
Yeah, but Kobe was married like when he was 19. I don't know. There's no Ronaldo is like in every fucking GQ in Europe, like with his shirt off, like with women and models. I mean, he's been with the gossip columnists follow him. He's on the TMZ of Europe every day.
I mean, James Harden fucks a lot of chicks, but he's wicked ugly.
Yeah, and he fucked Khloe Kardashian, so I don't think that's really
that's disgusting. Oh my God.
Anyhow, so Ronaldo has been the latest guy to be hit with a uncorroborated, unsubstantiated rape charge, which seems to be very popular these days. So a woman claims, and again, this involves a non-disclosure agreement and money that didn't seem to have any legal impact whatsoever. So in 2009, he was partying in Vegas at one of the clubs in Vegas. There's photos of him with a chick. They're all over each other on the dance floor. Of course, TMZ has photos of this. Making out and dancing, all the shit like that. She goes back up to him to his hotel room, all consensual at this point. Then she claims she was changing her clothes in his room, as women will do. Strange women will do in your hotel room. Just change their clothes, which means she was naked. Then apparently she claims he walked in and asked her to blow him. She said no, which doesn't make a lot of sense because there's a line of 8,000 women at the door to blow Ronaldo. Plus, she just went up to his hotel room with him to have sex. And then he then proceeded to force her, throw her on the bed, and sodomize her anus. Sodomize her anus.
How do you know that she...
This is her claim.
All right, so I would say... I'm not saying I don't believe her, but I'm now So when it's a he said, she said
Yes.
thing, right? I just think if you go up to a guy's hotel room, you know what that's about, right?
Yeah, especially when you've been fooling around the dance floor. It's like he just met you a second ago. You've been fucking around the dance floor and getting horny and getting really horny.
Yeah. But
And he's Ronaldo, so he's picked you out of 50 girls to be with.
You sound. I mean, that sounds ridiculous.
Well, but I'm saying it wasn't like he picked you to talk about like politics. I mean, you know why you're with him at a club.
Maybe she's naive.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Is this the position you want to take, Matt?
No.
defend the lady. I mean, I appreciate the idea.
Well, maybe she wanted to take it slow. You know, she thought they'd
see a movie.
Yeah,
Netflix and cuddle.
Johnny Rockets.
Netflix and cuddle. His hotel room at 2 in the morning after being at the club.
I don't know, but I mean, obviously, because a woman goes up to your hotel room, that obviously doesn't mean that you're allowed to rape her.
No, I think everyone agrees with that. The question is, how do you prove as a woman that you were raped? I mean, how do you distinct once you've gone up to his room and you're naked, you're changing clothes in his hotel room for some reason, and it's late at night, you've been fooling around, and sex is clearly on the table. How do you, that's sort of like a video of you being assaulted, or say bruises all over your body, or some kind of physical evidence. I mean, they do rape kits, obviously, but the rape kit will just show that he had sex with you. And
well, who's the burden of proof on? I guess is the question.
Well, it's changed. So that's an excellent question, Matt. So that's the Kavanaugh era question, which is it's changed dramatically. So, you know, the old cliche about the 50s rape trial was like the girl asks for it. She's a loose girl. She drinks. Therefore, any charge she makes about being raped has to be discounted because she's a slutty chick. Mm-hmm. So slutty girls can't be raped, essentially. That's 60 years ago. Now we've come, because America cannot handle a nuanced approach to any social issue. Everyone has to be on one extreme or the other. We've now come to the era where, like, if a woman, Hillary Clinton said, believe her, if a woman says it was rape in the hotel room, even as they began sex and she wanted to stop it, like in the Russell Simmons case, she said, I blew him, but I didn't want to have sex. I didn't want to have intercourse with him. He made me have intercourse with him. Again, without witnesses. Well, Brett Ratner. Is now the whole idea is you believe her. Like a woman's word. Like, why would a woman come forward to accuse you of something if it didn't happen? And so the presumption is she is telling the truth, and now you must prove that she is lying.
Yeah.
Which is the exact same problem with evidence, which is that there is no evidence that she's lying. You can't prove that you didn't force your dick in her ass when you were naked in the hotel room together.
Yeah, but you're sort of making it a jump because, yeah, so maybe she agreed to have sex with him, and as in the Kobe Bryant case, which is what I believe happened, you may have agreed to have sex with him, but you didn't want to have anal sex.
Yes, he went for
which I would imagine as a woman are sort of two different things.
Yeah. Also, as a man, Matt.
Right.
Yes. I mean, if you should at least know the difference. You should be aware of the differences. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It sounds more rapey. I mean, just sodomy. The word sodomy alone sounds rapey.
We gotta get rid of that word.
Yes, we do. We really do. But even the fact that he banged her in the ass sounds more rapey. It sounds like something a woman would say no to, much more than just intercourse, regular intercourse. Because so first of all, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. So good looking rich guys get away with a lot more because it's presumed that women want to have sex with them because they do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a presume that women either know what's going on or they want it to happen, or they're opportunistic because they're with the guy who makes, $80 million a year in income, and he's extremely handsome, and he's famous and a famous athlete. So how do you prove rape from there? I don't know, but the burden is now on the guy. And so what happened was she went to the police, as you know, Matt, and said she was sexually assaulted, but she would not name the name of the person who sexually assaulted her, which must be a very odd record for the police.
I'd kind of be like, get out of my office.
Yes.
What are you doing here?
Did you not see him? Oh, no, I saw him. Do you not know who he is? Oh, no, I know who he is.
Hey, I'm not the one that was raped.
Yes.
So if you want to, help out your own cause,
Yes.
potentially you should,
So you've told me everything except for the name of the guy who you absolutely positively know his name. That would be kind of helpful.
It seems as almost though that's the entire point of going into the station.
Assuming you know the guy, which
you know the guy.
Which she did. But she did have the wherewithal to then basically tell him she was going to take him down for raping her, at which point he wrote her an NDA. His attorneys wrote an NDA, which, as you know, you and I now know is completely useless. And it paid her $300. I don't know how they decide on the rate. Like Trump had his rate, and Weinstein had his rate.
They all seem to be in the $200,000 to $300,000 range.
Yes,
I think it's like $1 million. Fuck off.
Yes, like they have like a table, like, oh, here's what Weinstein paid. Here's what, like they have a comp table. Okay, here's what Trump pays. You're not worth the Trump. You're not worth the Stormy Daniels money, but we'll give you $270. We'll give you $275 or whatever, $375.
I mean, I wonder if because this was the accusation was, as you said, the anal rape. I wonder if that bumped up the rate a little.
Oh
bit.
yeah, like a kicker, like an anal kicker.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that is probably true. But so now you're saying like, okay, he paid her not to talk about it, so it looks guilty. But by the same token, if you're a rich guy and some chick's going around saying you raped her, you probably want to pay her just to shut up, because why the hell you don't need that shit. So you can get money out of this. People will say, what do you get?
See, I don't get why you seem very sure that he didn't do it.
Oh no, I think
like
everything. I think
maybe you pay her because you're guilty of raping someone.
Yeah, it's possible. But Trump didn't rape Stormy Daniels. He paid her for her services and then paid her more to shut up about it.
I was watching a porn video the other day, full disclosure.
Yes, accidentally.
And she's now doing these like those annoying commercials that come on before that you skip immediately.
Yes.
She is gross.
Yeah, she's really gross.
Like a 2.
Yeah, she's not attractive. And
I can't believe if you're going to pay someone for sex, you could have fucked a lot of really hot. So you can fuck any porn star.
Yes.
For the right amount of money. This idiot.
Not even that much money. Yes.
This fucking retard president picked that fucking slob.
Yes.
Doesn't that...
Well, he also did have sex. He did have sex with Karen McDougal too. I'll give you, who I've met. And it just is absolutely fantastically stunning and gorgeous. She's a hot Playboy.
Well, I don't know that. I was going to say she probably has a price, but
yeah, she had a price and she got paid too. But what I'm saying is, sometimes when you're a rich guy, especially if you're married and you have sex with somebody, you pay them to shut up about it. So I'm not sure makes him. Maybe it makes him look guilty. The sex happened. She went up to his room. The sex happened. But my point is, and he's denying it, of course. There's no way to prove that he forced his dick in her ass versus her saying, okay, I'll give it a shot. I mean, how could you possibly prove that? So you pay her off because you don't want a woman like Scorn, like going around to every TMZ forevermore talking about how you shoved your cock in her ass against her will. I mean, Kobe paid a lot of people.
Legally,
including his wife.
I was reading a study because the majority of this country is fucking retarded old white people, assholes.
Oh, white males, yes.
No, and women. It's something like 40% of old people, they don't think that oral or anal sex is sex.
Oh, it's sodomy, yes.
They think only just
procreative sex.
Right. So I mean,
that's a Christian, the religious view of it.
Yeah, so I'm just saying in a court of law, like, I don't know if maybe they didn't have sex.
Oh, no, they well, this was anal. I mean, a lot of times you'll see stories.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people don't believe that.
Oh, that it's real. That was sex.
It's a stupid point. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, the anal adds to the story because you get all the headlines like, wrong hole, no goal. So there's stories like that. But I think the pendulum has, again, nobody can take a nuanced approach, which is, okay, maybe he did rape her, maybe he did force her, maybe he didn't. Everyone has to either believe her or it used to be believe him was the standard. Now it's believe her. And, so Christine Blasey Ford has a huge number of holes in her accusations, massive number of holes in her story, including the fact she can't say where or when the assault happened. But the whole idea is you can't publicly, if you question her, then you're questioning an accuser, and you're drummed out of the whatever, because you're looking if you're a guy especially if you're a guy, you would say something like that. It's like, oh, great, attack the sexual assault victim. Well, that's changed 180 from the way it used to be when the guys got off in all the rapes, and now there's really no defense for a guy if a woman accuses you of rape, especially if it's clear you were you had sex with her. I don't know, man. It's kind of scary. I think it's kind of scary.
She doesn't really have any holes in her story. I mean,
she had some holes. She had some holes. No, but here's the thing that kills me, which is that she signed the NDA for $375,000, and now I didn't understand this with Stormy Daniels too, or Rose McGowan. You're allowed to talk about the fact that you had sex with the guy because you're trying to quash the NDA. You're trying to get out of the NDA, saying it's unfair to have the NDA now. So now you're allowed to tell everything you weren't allowed to tell when you signed the NDA, under the guise of trying to get out of legally trying to get out of the NDA. Like,
yeah, it's really bizarre. I mean, aren't there? So there's laws about like committing perjury, right?
Yes.
Like if you go into court, you swear to God or whatever, and if you lie, that's a crime. So I don't quite understand how signing this thing not under duress, and I guess I wouldn't so much apply it to this woman because she's accusing an actual crime. But Stormy Daniels was just a whore fucking a guy.
Yeah, and she took money to not talk about it.
If you violate that, I feel like you should probably face a penalty.
Yeah, no. I mean, I suppose someone could sue her, but who wants that? Who wants that process? The only guy who ever figured this out, a rich guy, was Mel Gibson. So when Mel Gibson had that Russian whore bride, and remember all the phone calls, the angry phone calls to her about the kid and stuff like that.
Yeah, which he was fucking hilarious in, by the way. That's some of his best work. Because anytime, if someone's recording you, like the ironic part to me is like, oh my God, Mel Gibson's a psycho. Do you think maybe he's pissed because the caliber of person he's dealing with is secretly recording him?
Yes.
Like you don't think she acted like a cunt ever?
Well, so by the way, Matt, something to think about before you take a Russian bride. Before you take a Russian bride.
So, no, I wouldn't.
bad idea. But what he did was, I don't know if you remember, he set up her NDA payments as four $250,000 payments over 4 years. And if she ever brought up even an allusion, a reference to what had gone on, the rest of it was disqualified. So she actually went on Howard Stern, I think it was Howard Stern, about a year into this, made an allusion to like what life was like with Mel Gibson and talking about this thing. And his lawyers came out and said, all right, no more money for you. You don't get the last 3 payments. You broke the NDA. And I was like, here's the first guy I figured out. You don't do the lump sum deal. Once you give someone all the money, they have every reason in the world to break the deal.
But when they break the deal, you should legally have to pay the money back.
Yeah, you should. But is Trump going to fucking take on Stormy Daniels in an open lawsuit with depositions and shit? No, you're fucked.
I don't care about Trump, but I mean,
Weinstein,
Gibson,
you're fucked. I mean, but
he has some issues, obviously.
Getting money back from a deal is almost impossible. So he was a smart guy, which is the 4-year payment system. She's out $750,000 because she did a stupid interview.
What a fucking dumb bitch.
now you learn. Matt, I want to ask you about Lady Gaga fans. You think you're one of the little monsters? What does she call those fucking people? Little monsters. I think it sounds better than like sort of like troubled gay men and girls who don't go to the prom. Her fans are known as being this very countercultural, depressed, anxious group of people who, of course, once they find a celebrity they love, they literally will kill themselves for her, which is kind of creepy.
I didn't even know this. It's ironic though, since she's like arguably the biggest pop star in the country.
Yeah, she is.
I don't get how you're going against the grain there.
Her fans are like, I mean, you'll see, if you ever see on Twitter battles, you'll see dumb fans of every artist like fighting with each other. Rap fans battle with each other, and pop stars like Taylor Swift fans battle with Kanye or whatever that old fight is and stuff like that. But her fans are notorious for actually like, organizing online, just destroying people that dare to talk shit about her. I only know this because I tweeted something about her. Got like 1,000 or 2,000 angry. And they're never written in any language you can understand. They're all acronyms and LOLs and like unspelled words and stuff. And then like be 5,000 people just retweet it. So apparently the word around Hollywood is that Lady Gaga's A Star Is Born, which you're going to see, is opening this weekend along with Venom. These are Venom, the Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man. Don't quite understand.
The trailer looked crappy. It just was a bunch of CGI of the Venom.
Yeah, Tom Hardy turning into Venom.
And yes, it doesn't matter. Is Is Venom Spider-Man? I don't know.
Nah, Venom's in the Spider-Man comics, but there's no Spider-Man in this movie. It's just Venom, which I don't know how that works, but it's not. It's apparently got poor reviews. I don't care. I'm so sick of fucking Marvel movies. I just can't understand why. I know why they keep making them for money, but I mean, I cannot get enthused about another Marvel movie.
I thought Venom was Spider-Man just wearing another outfit. But
No,
I don't know comics.
No, that was Black Spider-Man. I think I don't know. Venom is like he does. Spider-Man battles him, but he's not a bad guy. He's a good guy who's been taken over by a bad presence.
Because spiders have venom. Some do.
Yes, I don't know.
But I feel like Venom has like a snake tongue.
Venom is a snake, I think. I don't fucking know.
I'd much rather see A Star Is Born than Venom.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Wow. That says a lot about you. I don't want to see either of them. I mean, if Venom was, I guess.
I said if I had to choose.
If everyone was really, really good. So apparently Lady Gaga fans, the movie Star Is Born is opening against Venom. So Lady Gaga fans have organized on the internet to write shitty things about Venom at every media outlet where they're possibly allowed and can infiltrate, because they want Venom to die at the box office, so more people like you, forced to choose, will go see A Star Is Born. And actually, I think this is not like an urban legend. This is actually going on. I think it actually can have a fairly profound. I mean, you're not talking about like 20 people. You're talking about like 20,000 people or 200,000 people doing this. I mean, forget like the Russian election meddling where they have probably seen some Facebook ads. You could like 200,000 dedicated like screwed up, fucked up, diehard Gaga fans can create a lot of damage online. Even being unsophisticated, they can plug every single IMDb and Rotten Tomato user reviews, everything.
Would it really make a difference though if you wanted to see Venom? Like,
probably not.
Do you really
for
think
Venom.
it could affect a lot of numbers?
I think not for Venom, but for A Star Is Born, probably more so. It could bump the numbers up. Everyone's always talking about how Rotten Tomatoes has too much power, but they're just doing an amalgamation of critics' reviews, and they do have too much power, by the way. But if people infiltrate 20, 30 top boards where movies are discussed, and they all write shitty reviews for one movie or positive reviews for another movie, it can definitely have a fairly big commercial impact. I think this is just a sign of the hellhole we live in now, where sort of angry, disenfranchised, self-harming teenagers can take over an actual legitimate, take down a legitimate commercial operation, such as a Marvel movie.
Right.
I mean, it's not gonna like cost them hundreds of millions of box office, something like that, but it could have a fairly significant impact.
What was the movie? This happened again recently with a super raunchy movie, and I'm blanking on it. But when South Park, the movie, came out, Matt and Trey they told everyone to buy tickets for another movie and just go into the South Park theater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then it was. I wish we could look it up, but it was some fucking crappy ass movie. Unexpectedly, it was like #1 at the box office for like 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
But the
That's
theaters
funny.
were totally empty.
That's funny.
And that same thing happened again recently, but I'm spacing on it. But yeah, I don't know. Did you have Movie Pass, by the way?
No, is that still around? I thought it like went under pretty fast. AMC's offering the same thing.
It started going under. I had it, and it was awesome. And like, I was talking to my friends, like, how is this a thing? And we were like, I don't know. And it turns out they're just hemorrhaging money. Yes. So I canceled.
I don't. People go to movies that I don't go to the movies out to the movies that often anymore. Your story made me flash back to a time when I lived back east. There was like a mom and pop theater before they all were finally destroyed by the mall theaters, and they had 2 screens, and the theater wasn't doing well. They were losing money, and so they converted one screen. These are side by side theaters to porn. And the next one over, they would show like date movies for like, people. I was in my 20s on dates. And so I remember taking a girl to a movie there. I did more than once. It was like the local theater. And they would show like, a rom-com or some sort of movie, the date night movie. But you could hear the bass and the sound coming through the wall from the porn while you're watching the movie.
Oh, I thought you were going to, which is what I would have done. I would have accidentally,
gone to the wrong movie.
I mean that in quotes.
Yes.
Showed up late and gone into the porn theater.
Yeah, that doesn't work as well on dates as possible. But you would actually, be watching a quiet movie, like some Italian rom-com, whatever like that, and it'd be like pounding beat and some lady screaming through the speakers that were coming through the wall. It was very, very disconcerting.
It sounds like a problem. Did they go out of business shortly?
I think they just went full porn and actually made some money.
Oh.
It was tough. It was literally like an old mom and pop senior couple, and they weren't making enough money on the regular movies, and so they just converted
Well,
one.
You grew up in the Bay Area, which is very porny.
This was actually back in Virginia. I'll have you know. Oh, in the Bay Area, yeah, they had everything was gay porn. Those were the days of like when men had to go to actual theaters to see porn, and they'd always catch like one of those teachers. There'd always be raids, like the vice cops would raid the theater. They were called adult theaters. The O'Farrell brothers in San Francisco started. They made that movie with Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez in San Francisco, and they actually had like you had to go to a theater to see porn. There was no other way to get it. So guys would go in trench coats and pay $2 to get in and watch porn and jerk off in the theater. Then the cops once a month would raid it because it was disgusting. And then it would always be like the teacher or the rabbi or like the local pastor who were always arrested. It was always like your high school teacher, the art teacher who was always caught up in the bust, which is sad because they just wanted to fucking get off.
Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah,
you know,
he did that too.
He was just trying to enjoy a movie.
Well, as technology advanced and home videos became available for porn, the only people still going to the theaters were looking for hookups, I believe. Pee Wee Herman was like late 80s, I think, or early 90s. I think he was looking. I think guys who still went after like VCRs were invented were just looking for hookups.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
It's like I can beat off at home to porn, or I could go out to the theater where there's 10 other guys in trench coats sitting next to me also beating off. That option only sounds intriguing to you if you're looking to maybe join in.
When's the last time you even saw a guy in a trench coat? If I see a dude in a trench coat, my first thought is just he's gonna pull his dick out.
Well, now in LA you don't see it very often. Back east it's a little more common in the rain.
Not as common, not as much as it used to be.
Though. No. I think it's kind of those are kind of gone.
Like every '80s movie, that's a dude just wore a fucking super bizarre jacket.
Yeah, those by the way, trench coats are like those long jackets. They're really awesome. Like in the cold?
Yeah, they look cool. I thought about. I mean, I'm pretty tall, so it wouldn't. I can't really get shit like that. But in theory, it looks kind of dope.
It looks dope, and also it's really warm.
I don't know if you got to be cool to pull it off though.
Because you're wearing a full like a 3/4 length like jacket that's warm.
Yeah.
So like when you wear a jacket in the cold, you're from fucking Alaska. I've been telling you, but your legs get fucking cold, and your crotch gets cold. But when you're wearing like an overcoat like that, like I took my grandfather's camel hair coat from like the 30s or 40s. I think they don't kill the camels anymore for that. But it was like you could wear it with like a t-shirt and jeans and be out in the winter. It was just amazing because it was so warm.
Well, I mean, I agree with you, but I think like I always have the opinion, as long as your feet are warm and you have like a hat and gloves,
yes,
you can pretty much just be chilling in like a Simpsons t-shirt and boxer shorts.
Did you learn that in survival class? You got to keep your head warm. You always keep your head and feet warm. That's all I remember from survival class.
Well, you have to. Your hands are the worst. I went back for a friend's funeral, and obviously now I don't own all the same gear, and so someone gave me a hat, obviously, but I didn't have any gloves, and just from reaching in and out of my pocket, my hand was burnt for like a year.
For how cold it was?
Yeah, literally the whole outside of my hand looked like scar tissue.
I just remember the outdoor ed training we had where the guy told us like if you were like naked in the cold out in the the woods and you could have one piece of clothing, what would you have? And it was like, his big surprise reveal, a hat, like a ski hat or whatever.
Yeah,
because you lose all your no, because that's what you would do. Because you lose like 60% of your body heat through your head.
Yeah.
So, now looking back on it, I think he just wanted all the kids to be naked in the outdoor class.
They showed us a video in the must have been 3rd grade of rescuing. So they're like, here's what you do if your friend falls into freezing water. And they're like, well, I don't know.
It's an Alaska training
I don't know if we need to know this.
Yeah.
And so you form like a human chain.
Yes.
And then they showed the guys and these were actors, bad actors. And they said, well, then take all your clothes off
the body heat
and cuddle together.
No.
And so, of course, we were just fucking, dying laughing.
Yes.
And the teacher's like, it's not funny. I'm like, and looking back, I'm like, by the way, how is it not funny, you fucking idiot? But then in like the 8th grade, me and a couple friends got real hammered. And we saw this frozen pond, so we started like doing drop kicks onto it and shit, trying to break it.
Yes.
And one of my friends fell in, and I was like, I remember that video from the 3rd grade. So I was like, guys, we form a human chain.
Did you?
Yeah.
You got to lay down too. You can't be standing, right?
No, you get on your belly.
Yeah. So you're like,
someone grabbed my ankles, and I grabbed the dude and pulled him out. But we didn't get naked and cuddle after that.
No.
I
remember you use a ladder or a boat, right? You use a ladder or a boat to go on the ice because it's got a flat bottom. So it distributes your weight across the ice. What's the whole idea?
I never heard that.
I remember that from lifeguard training. I don't know why. I was in California. We had no ice.
If there's any doubt that the ice could break, just don't go on it.
No. But like you would find like a dinghy or a boat, and you could push that out because if it ice cracked, you're in a boat, but also the weight distributes along the bottom. They said a ladder was a backup, like you use a ladder. I didn't understand. I was fucking California. There was no ice. I never got to experience this.
Well, that's why everyone thinks it's a really cool stunt to ride a snowmobile. We call it a snow machine, but a snowmobile across the water.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because the track is spinning, so as long as you don't let off the throttle,
you'll keep going.
You're good,
just like a boat.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds dangerous. How close would you have to be to somebody? I mean, how close emotionally to actually get naked and cuddle their body warmth?
Oh, this is one of my best friends, and I got hypothermia just from being in the water, not submerged, but touching the water. And so we went back to my friend's house, and I took like a half-hour shower, and I could barely get my hands.
I don't like it. This
guy was an Eskimo, though, so he probably had higher tolerance for the.
You assume so because he's Eskimo. My friend's dad was like an eagle, the ultimate Eagle Scout. So anytime there was a hint of a natural disaster, he'd make us go like out and do sandbags and shit like that in the freezing cold water. I never understood that. Like he would like take us to natural disaster sites to help out, like with the when they marshal the guard, the National Guard.
Yeah,
he would always take us to the local national. I was like 12, right, 11 or 12. I remember being roped to other people to sandbag shit like for floods and stuff. Or like, I don't know. I don't want to hang out with you anymore. This is like I'd rather play video games. This is like. Kind of fun, but like I just look back and like we could have easily died really very easily because it was like water up to your chest, like cold water up to your chest. You have to be roped off so you didn't float away. I'm like, I don't know. We're saving homes. They kind of like really just let the homes go. Like I'm 12.
It sounds pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
Did you ever go to that? Where was it in wine country up north? Santa. It's a real shit town in wine country.
Sonoma?
Yeah, Sonoma. There's like this hiking trail, but there's a mental hospital there.
Oh, Sonoma State, yeah.
And it's the
Napa
most
State.
frightening thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, they used to house, we always talk about the homeless and the crazy people on the street. They used to house them in hospitals. They called them hospitals. They weren't really hospitals. They were places where they just kept them drugged all the time.
I got a real like Pet Cemetery vibe off that shit.
I mean, imagine, so there used to be like in these hospitals, there was like 1,000 schizophrenics, right, or bipolar schizophrenics, and they just gave them Thorazine every day, right? So they were just like zombies, but they were not dangerous. And then at some point in the 80s, they decided to let them all out because it was really inhumane for one. ACLU came in and said that you can't just keep people locked away for life because they have mental illness, which seemed like a good argument. At the same point, they didn't have really any answer of where they would go next. So they've all sort of just migrated to the streets. And so now you see people talking to themselves at bus stops and hanging out, and they self-medicate with drugs and stuff like that. But it seemed like a good idea I remember when they shut the places down. It's like, yes, I mean, you can't just keep people locked up and drugged up because they're schizophrenic. Right. But then what do you do? The parents didn't want them. The families didn't want them. They couldn't maintain them. And so they just ended up on the street.
Well, and I mean, I guess if you look at all the Superfund sites that are still around, just leaching, untold carcinogens into the water. But the way the U.S. works is, so they shut it down, but there's still like writing on the wall that's like, I will kill everyone.
Yes.
And like dirty mattresses. How long ago was that? It's still there.
Yes.
I went into the building as like a dare to myself.
Yeah, I wouldn't go in there.
Dude.
No.
I forgot the point of this, but it's the scariest thing I've ever seen. If you ever go to Sonoma, like,
yes,
that is a frightening thing. To
It
witness.
reminds you of every when I think about it, I always think about the Freddy Krueger when they talk about where Freddy Krueger came from.
Yeah.
Which is that his mom was in a mental institution, was a nurse, and she was raped by 1,000 lunatics.
Yeah, which scientifically, I don't see how they all they combine their semen. That's not.
I don't know. It's like the Kavanaugh gang rape train, but 1,000 lunatics.
Right.
Was raped. She was a nun, right? She was a nun who was raped by 1,000 madmen.
Right.
But I always think about that because that's exactly where that would have happened. That's that hospital is exactly where 1,000 guys would have raped a nun and produced Freddy Krueger.
And was I the only one that noticed it? Because there's nice families with their strollers. But there's the most frightening thing you've ever seen.
It literally
just sitting there.
It literally
Everyone
held
acts like it didn't happen.
1,000 just abnormally crazy men and some in there for decades, just either medicated and or just fucking Silence of the Lambs with the guy throwing his splooge around and stuff like that.
Yeah,
just those guys, just all day long, just throwing their cum around.
You know what I think? I think the ones that after they abolish it, I think they still live in the nearby hills.
Probably. It's a tough issue to deal with, but we no longer lock up, we no longer incarcerate the mentally ill, yet we still haven't found a place to put them, to deal with them. So dying on the streets. I'm not sure it's any better. Oh, that was uplifting.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Matt, I want to talk about Dick Cheney. You were a huge Dick Cheney fan. I remember you wearing Cheney shirts, Dick Cheney shirts, Cheney for president. There's a new...
Did you see the Sacha Baron Cohen thing where he gets Cheney to sign the... was it a waterboarding?
Yes. It was... the thing about Cheney was he's such a caricature of himself that he was amusing, right?
He loves himself.
Yes. He was amusing in the sense that I think he was very self-aware of how people perceived him.
Which was that he's evil.
Yes, but it didn't bother him.
No, it didn't. In fact, he really embraced it.
It wasn't like a guy oh, no, I have to do some PR to make people love me. It was just kind of he was just kind of like the Grinch, right?
He's a real life villain.
Yes, and he was happy.
He's like an evil incarnate man.
Yeah, and he was totally fine being seen that way. So he was actually a great sort of fictional character if you were to fictionalize him. But Robert wants to know, they're making a Dick Cheney movie now. Was anybody actually asking for a Dick Cheney movie, or is this just another excuse for Christian Bale to make an amazing makeup transformation? I wonder, it's 2018. Cheney's still alive. He's still alive, right?
Yeah.
Still alive somewhere. Probably go on to live to be 350 years old.
Yeah, he has a bionic heart.
Yes. So, I just don't know. So they're making this movie called Vice is coming out, which is a horrible name for a movie because it makes it sound a lot better than it's going to be, about Dick Cheney and Bush and the neocons and taking over the war and all that stuff. And it just seems to me like nobody asked for it. Every now and then a Bush movie will come out. They'll make a movie about Bush. They did. Rob Reiner made a Bush movie last year. I don't think there's a lot of, certainly when Trump took over, that consumed everything, right? There's no clamoring anymore. I think during the Obama years, probably people said, I'll see a movie about Bush being corrupt or Bush doing this. But now that Trump has been in office for 2 years, I think everything that came before is kind of lost. There's no interest in any of it because he's so massively consumed all media attention. But I don't.
Yeah, well, even the Cheney thing, everyone was saying, Bush, W. Bush was the worst president in history, which is probably true, but not compared to Trump.
Well, that's the thing. There's no so Bush was, for all his flaws, was a very likable guy. And so I think people even, especially as an ex-president, people really like Bush. He's got 85% approval rating, for whatever reason. He's just he was always seen as a dumb cluck, but he was always likable, right? And somehow people like this family. I don't really understand that, but they love George. The old guys jumping out of planes. The mom died. They love the mom. The whole Bush family is just lovable, whatever. And he may have been the most lovable because he was really the dumbest. So he was the least insidious because he didn't really know what he was doing. So he just seemed like a guy who was a baseball.
Well, he had no authority or power or anything.
No, and he wanted to be a baseball owner, which he was, and then he got sort of asked to run for president and said okay, and became president and didn't care that much about it. But he seemed like a guy that would, you'd actually want to have a beer with. They always asked about having a beer with. But Cheney was a big story too. But I just don't know, like, is anybody asking to see? So the last 3 or 4 Bush movies, nobody's actually seen. They didn't do any box office. No one seems to care. I think this is like a Hollywood thing. Like, there's still.
I didn't know there were Bush.
Yeah, there was
movies.
a Rob Reiner movie, Shock and Awe, came out like 6 months ago or 9 months ago. I think it went straight to DVD or straight to digital download. There was just no. The theater owners just didn't want it. I'm sure it was actually probably a pretty good movie. But it's like, how many guys can you see doing Bush? And don't they all look like SNL skits after a while when everyone's doing like like Christian Bale? If you see in the thing, is like, yeah, he looks a lot like Cheney. He's doing a good Cheney impersonation, but it looks like a Cheney impersonation.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I'm picturing Christian Bale and I'm picturing Dick Cheney.
Yes,
and so it's got to be a lot of very noticeable aggressive makeup.
Yes,
to get there.
Yes. And the sneering, the thing with the lip curl thing Cheney did. Let me ask you this: are you going to see the Dick Cheney movie, or is it just going to be? I know you hate Dick Cheney, obviously. You despise Dick Cheney, but are you willing to pay?
If I had to kill one person, it would
really interesting. But are you willing to pay $13 to go to the movie to see Christian Bale do a Dick Cheney impersonation and Sam Rockwell do a Bush impersonation?
Well, see, if I'm going solo. Yeah. I don't pay to go to movies.
Really?
No. I pretend I'm looking for something and then I walk in.
Oh, you don't knock on the back door and pay the guy. We used to do that in high school.
I might see it. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing it, but yeah, I think it's so distracting. It's like a high budget Saturday Night Live. Like,
it's an improv skit.
You're looking at. It's just so hard to forget about that. You're watching Christian Bale play Dick Cheney. Like,
yes.
I couldn't get into the movie. I would just be looking at Christian Bale's bald cap the entire time.
Why would they not just hire like a bald older fat actor to play the role? That's what I don't know. Like, if you're really serious,
Richard Dreyfuss, man.
Yeah, well, he always plays Richard Dreyfuss played like the bald Republican guy like in 3 or 4 movies. But why not hire an actor who actually has the physical characteristics of Dick Cheney to play Dick Cheney versus hiring Batman to morph himself, to put on 50 pounds and morph himself into Dick Cheney. They showed him he's topless in a couple scenes. They did that just to show how fat he got, so he put on like 50 pounds for the role. And it just becomes like a giant acting class, right, at some point.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I doubt that it's terrible,
yes.
And I doubt that it's great. I'm sure it's just sort of a middle of the road. You know what you're in for, right?
And also, is it really going to expose some things you didn't know about Dick Cheney? Like, it's going to hit all the story points you know about Dick Cheney. He's going to shoot the guy with the gun. He's going to falsely find weapons of mass destruction, launch the war. He's going to do all the Dick Cheney stuff, like the pro forma Dick Cheney bad stuff.
I guess the most interesting thing about Dick Cheney
Illuminati. I love the word Illuminati.
Sorry, the only
it's like sodomy.
Yeah. Well, when you say Illuminati, it sounds kind of bogus,
yes.
Except for when you're referring to Dick Cheney.
You sound like Pauly Shore doing like a YouTube video late at night, exposing the great conspiracy of some kind.
Well, I mean, Dick Cheney is
he's in
a conspiracy.
I thought is that the same as the Freemasons?
I'm sure he's part of. He's a Bohemian Grove guy.
He's a rich white old school Christian CEO who's involved probably with a lot of extremely shady organizations.
Yeah, well, he started a war to invest to grant no bid contracts for his own company.
Right.
I'm saying is the only cool thing about him is that he's from Wyoming.
Oh yeah.
You don't meet that many guys from Wyoming.
No, and he was like he actually has like some ranching background, where he actually did some sort of like real ranching work. But you're not. It's not like the only people that are going to see this movie, the only people that see these Bush movies, as far as I can tell, are people that hated Bush and go see the movies to go see like, how stupid and corrupt they were. But that seems like a very small audience who will, especially do that at the theater, like who will go to the theater to do that. So I don't know. I mean, it's not like this isn't like Fahrenheit. This isn't like a Michael what's his name Moore movie.
Yeah,
where they're exposing some documentary stuff. This is just a put on of like, okay, Dick Cheney was sinister and did all this shit, and here's Christian Bale playing him with all this makeup on.
It seems kind of dumb, and I also wonder if he really gained the weight for this role. Like, remember when
De Niro, right, for Untouchables? That was the first time I remember. He put on 50 pounds, and how fat, because he wanted to be fat like Al Capone.
So do you think he might just be seeking out roles in which he can become fat already?
Yes. Well, or no. Do you ever see The Mechanic?
Yeah.
Where he lost all that weight.
Yeah.
He was emaciated.
And The Boxer.
Yeah, that one too. Yeah, no, he's the actor. The great actors believe that they should actually put themselves through physical torture to play roles. It's sort of like their sign of commitment to the craft. So I mean, it's or like Amy Adams was just in that Sharp Objects series on HBO, where she was covered in scars and looked horrible and was kind of dumpy in the waist area and hip area. And she actually put weight on because she was in her underwear a lot in the show. That's seen as like a great acting craft thing. Is like you're a very attractive person, but you're going to make yourself look very unattractive for the role.
Right. Well, I get if you're Christian Bale in The Boxer playing, a crackhead, or if you're playing a Holocaust victim or something like that. But you do see movies where they're like, well, this guy lost a lot of weight or gained a lot of weight for this movie. And it's like, well, that really has nothing to do with the character.
No.
This person just wants to
do this. It's a thing. Charlize Theron was just in that movie recently called Tully. I think it was Tully, where she plays like an overworked mom. And she clearly put on weight because she's like, half naked in the movie, and she looked horrible. It's just a sign of like, I'm a pretty person, and look, I'm going to make myself. Robin Wright Penn, Robin, whatever she goes by now, was the first one to do that. I remember, where she said she was tired of playing pretty roles, and so she played roles where they would disfigure her nose and her face, so she looked less attractive in the movies, because she didn't want to be her attractiveness to distract from her performance. That's just why I hate actors. This is why I hate actors, Matt. Like, you're hot, okay? Just deal with the suffering. Deal with the suffering of being an attractive woman in Hollywood. I'm sure it's fucking horrible.
Yeah, Theron. She also did that when she played the Furies, the serial killer
monster. Yeah,
remember
a good movie, by the way.
This really made me laugh. I don't know why. I think it's funnier than anyone else, but like 5 years ago, maybe like 8 years ago, Luke Wilson, the actor, did these series of commercials for Sprint or Verizon, I think it was. And he was just inexplicably fat.
Yes.
And
my friend did get really fat.
Yeah, he got real fat.
Yes.
My friend goes, do you think he gained the weight for this commercial?
To look more relatable, you mean?
Yeah, I have no idea.
All right, Matt, it's time for our final segment today, Pennies at a Bunch, which is only be had. No one else can actually hear this. This will be going when it goes to Smithsonian, maybe. But nobody else can hear it unless they're on patreon.com/lastmanearth for Pennies at a Bunch segment. So go there now and listen to this amazing shit about J.K. Rowling. I can't tell if J.K. Rowling is attractive or not for an older lady. I'm still trying to figure it out.
I've never seen her.
She's a tweener. Matt, you have somebody wish to pimp and promote this week for the show?
No.
Nothing at all?
I'm going to go take a nap.
Gonna take some more Take like 4 NyQuil. You'll sleep for a long time.
I don't think that's a good idea during the day, do you?
No. NyQuil and coffee, though, I would do.
But not sleeping isn't healthy either.
No, but you should try not to sleep during the day because then you'll be up all night. So you should try to make it till the sun goes down. It's early. You only have 6 hours to go.
I can get 2 hours in and go about my
You
day.
could go see A Star Is Born right now and to waste some time.
Go
sneak into A Star Is Born.
What did I had some kind of
Just say I'm going to try to find my gay friend in the theater. Can I go look in there for a second?
At least I could sleep during the movie.
All right, this is Lex. Last Month. Talk to you next week.
Let me poop. Can't hold it in anymore. Let me poop. I should have closed that door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the poop come out. The smell never bothered me anyway.